For months, astronomers observed the three-eyed Atlas, the third interstellar visitor after Oumuamua and Borisov, tracking its strange green tail and unusual behavior as it entered the solar system. Most thought they knew what they were dealing with, just an enigmatic body speeding past the sun. But on September 19th, exactly at 2 a.m. Universal Time Coordinated, everything changed. An amateur astronomer in Chile captured images of something no one was prepared to see. 9 faint points of light circling Atlas, moving in perfect sync with it, like fireflies orbiting a lantern. Within hours, the James Webb Telescope, Hubble, and the Very Large Telescope confirmed the same thing. The three-eyed Atlas was not alone. It was accompanied. 10 objects, all traveling together, all with the same strange glow. And what scientists soon discovered about these hidden companions would shake astronomy to its foundations. Initially, experts dismissed the images as noise or digital artifacts, the kind of error that occurs when cameras pick up cosmic rays, but Webb's infrared sensors and Hubble's precision dispelled any doubts. Indeed, 9 smaller bodies were orbiting alongside Atlas's 3 objects, each maintaining exactly the same trajectory and velocity, each radiating the same mysterious greenish light. Spectral analysis confirmed what no one wanted to believe. They weren't fragments torn from the main body, but independent objects with the same metallic signature as Atlas itself: nickel, cobalt, and exotic alloys not typically found in comets. Even stranger, while the three-eyed Atlas had already intrigued researchers with a thermal profile suggesting a 10 gigawatts energy source, the companions seemed to radiate nearly double that, 20 gigawatts each, contained in objects no larger than city blocks. For comparison, that's enough energy to light up entire nations, compacted into fragments of rock and ice. Natural processes don't do that. Nature doesn't build small bodies with internal reactors, but if they were probes, if they had been designed, the implications would be staggering. The most disturbing part of this discovery wasn't their power, but their sudden appearance. For weeks, telescopes around the world, both amateur and professional, had observed Atlas closely. NASA's Juno probe, the Parker Solar Probe, and even missions en route to Mercury and beyond were collecting data. None of them predicted the arrival of these companions. According to Avi Loeb of Harvard, the 9 bodies didn't drift into view. They appeared in a fraction of a millisecond, music faster than a camera flash, faster even than a blink of an eye. Our instruments simply weren't fast enough to capture the moment they appeared. For astronomers, it was as if the sky itself had changed in an instant. One moment, a solitary traveler. The next, a convoy. Countless theories emerged. Could Atlas have released them like so many other probes, launching its drones upon entering the inner solar system? Were they dormant until activated by the sun's gravity or radiation? Or had they come from somewhere entirely different, hiding in plain sight until the perfect moment to reveal themselves? Whatever the answer, their appearance wasn't random. It was deliberate. When astrophysicists tried to model the energy profiles of the companions, their computers failed. No matter how they adjusted the equations, temperature, density, fusion, or fission reactions, the numbers refused to converge. It's impossible to concentrate the amount of energy radiated by these objects into something so small without technology beyond our comprehension. Exotic containment fields, antimatter catalysis, and even dark matter reactions were considered because conventional physics couldn't explain them. Each of the 9 bodies seemed hotter, denser, and more energetic than the main craft, as if designed for close approaches while Atlas itself remained at a distance. In other words, they weren't just escorts. They were frontline agents, carrying raw power that humanity had never conceived. This realization caused a major stir in the scientific community as it suggested intent. Something had placed these objects there, something had given them impossible energy cores, and something was directing their path. As the images spread online, ordinary people asked the obvious question: why weren't we warned? Why did it take an amateur astronomer with a telescope on a hillside to reveal what the world's most advanced observatories hadn't detected? NASA and ESA issued only vague statements, acknowledging ongoing observations but refusing to release the raw spectra online. Behind the scenes, however, leaked memos revealed emergency meetings at the Pentagon, ESA headquarters, and the Chinese Space Agency, with hints of contingency plans ranging from interception missions to planetary defense protocols. Private space companies were discreetly approached about rapid launches, while European asteroid deflection projects were revived. And yet, to the public, silence. No warning, no explanation, just carefully controlled assurances that there was no evidence of a threat. But silence speaks volumes, because if 9 hidden objects really appeared alongside the three-eyed atlas, each radiating more power than entire nations, then the truth is already too big to contain, and governments know it. When Avi Loeb of Harvard analyzed the sudden appearance of the 9 companions, he proposed a theory that sent chills through the astronomical community: the mothership hypothesis. According to him, the three-eyed atlas may not be a solitary body, but rather a carrier ship, a larger interstellar spacecraft that releases probes as it approaches its target, in this case, our solar system. The escort ships weren't fragments or debris, but deliberately deployed scouts meant to approach worlds while the main ship remained farther away. If true, this would explain their denser energy signatures, synchronized orbits, and simultaneous emergence. The chilling implication was that these probes weren't just drifting. They had a mission. They might be mapping the planets, seeking resources, or simply observing the only intelligent species they could detect at that moment. For Loeb, one thing was certain: probes this advanced don't appear by accident. They appear when they're meant to be seen. Not everyone agreed with Loeb. Some astronomers offered a more natural explanation. Atlas could have collided with a massive interstellar rock, fragmenting into smaller pieces that maintained its speed and trajectory. This could, in theory, explain the 9 companions flying in formation, but almost immediately, the numbers refuted the theory. Collision fragments don't ignite like reactors. They don't each radiate 20 gigawatts, and certainly don't produce identical stories of bright green light with the same exotic metallic composition as the parent body. The precision of their trajectories was too perfect, their synchronization too absolute. Even skeptics had to admit that the companions behaved less like comet fragments and more like machines designed for a purpose. The natural explanation crumbled under the weight of the evidence, leaving only the engineering hypothesis. And that was a truth most scientists weren't willing to admit out loud. As if the 9 companions weren't enough, the story got even stranger. From the opposite direction in the sky, another interstellar object, C/2025 R2, nicknamed Swan, was approaching, 100 times larger and brighter than Atlas, with a tail 5 times wider than the full moon. Swan was set to reach its closest point to the Sun just days after Atlas. 2 interstellar giants converging in the same space corridor, escorted by a fleet of hidden companions, all in the same week in October. For many, this coincidence wasn't mere chance. Some speculated that Swan was arriving as a protector, intercepting Atlas and its companions before they could begin their mission. Others suggested the opposite, that both objects were part of the same operation, converging near the Sun to exchange energy, data, or even cargo. And there were historians who pointed out that records of unusual visitors with green tails dated back millennia, appearing in cycles of approximately 2,200 years. If those records were real, then humanity had seen this before and survived. But survival this time wasn't guaranteed. While the public was left to speculate, governments were far from idle. Leaked documents revealed emergency sessions at the Pentagon, European Space Command, and China's National Space Administration. Preliminary contingency plans detailed everything from reconnaissance probes to full planetary defense scenarios. According to reports, China redirected resources from its Long March 9th rocket program to a high-speed interceptor project. ESA dusted off designs from its abandoned Don Quixote asteroid deflection mission. Even private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin were discreetly approached about rapid response launches, but remained publicly silent. NASA refused to release Webb's raw spectra. ESA refused to comment, and the White House issued only a one-sentence statement. We are aware of the situation and monitoring it. This silence fueled paranoia, because when 9 objects appear suddenly, each radiating unimaginable power, and the world's most powerful institutions respond not with transparency, but with secrecy, it suggests the risks are far greater than anyone dares to admit. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of the companions was how they appeared. According to Harvard analysis, the 9 objects appeared in just 1 millisecond, far faster than any natural fragmentation process could occur. To put it in perspective, a human blink lasts 300 milliseconds, a camera flash about 5. These companions emerged 30,000 times faster than a blink and 100 times faster than lightning. For astrophysicists, this meant one thing. They didn't emerge by chance. They were triggered like a precision release mechanism, activating at the exact moment. Nothing we know in natural astronomy behaves this way. Comets fragment under stress slowly over hours or days. Asteroids shatter on impact in a cascade of dust and fragments. But 9 symmetrical objects, all radiating impossible power, emerging in perfect sync with their parent body in less than 1 millisecond? That's not astronomy. That's technology. Soon, speculations arose about the purpose of the 9 companions. If they were probes, they could be explorers designed to spread out and study the planets in our solar system. While Atlas remained at a distance, their more potent energy cores would make sense, built to withstand closer encounters with worlds, atmospheres, and magnetic fields. But some researchers warned of a darker possibility. 20 gigawatts of power in such small objects isn't just excessive for observation. It's enough energy for weapons. Could these ships be harvesters designed to mine resources or extract energy from planets and moons? Or worse, instruments of control, machines meant to neutralize threats before the main ship advances. Without communication, only silence remains. And silence inspires dread, because intent is invisible until it manifests. And when it does, it may already be too late to react. Historians also join the debate, pointing out that strange comets with green tails have been recorded throughout human history in cycles of approximately 2 millennia. Imperial Chinese archives mention a celestial dragon in 200 BC. Babylonian tablets describe a star that split, heralding upheavals. Medieval European chronicles speak of a green banner in the sky around the year 1000. If these records are accurate, then perhaps what we're witnessing now isn't new, but the return of something that has visited us before. Could it be that every 2,200 years these objects converge on the sun, leaving behind only enigmatic stories that our ancestors tried to immortalize? If so, then our era isn't the first to face this enigma. We're just the first to do so, music, with the instruments necessary to truly see it. And that realization is perhaps the most terrifying. The idea that humanity may not be experiencing first contact, but a recurring event that predates civilization itself. While the public speculates and wonders behind the scenes, mobilization has already begun. Defense satellites are being recalibrated. Reconnaissance probes are being repurposed, and confidential communications between space agencies are intensifying. Reports suggest China has accelerated its long-delayed planetary defense program, while Europe is reviving kinetic interceptor projects. The United States, publicly silent, has reportedly convened emergency committees at NASA and the Pentagon to explore everything from nuclear readiness to signaling strategies. But here's the disturbing truth. Time is against us. With Atlas and its companions approaching perihelion in a few weeks, there's no window to develop new technologies or organize a coordinated defense. If these objects are hostile, we're already unprepared. And if they're not, why the silence? Why the secrecy? Because perhaps the greatest fear isn't what they are, but what acknowledging them would cause us. In the days following the appearance of the 9 escort satellites, subtle anomalies began spreading through the solar system. Magnetometers detected weak, synchronized pulses aligned with the orbits of Atlas and its companions, repeating every 43 seconds like a heartbeat. Seismographs in Antarctica, South America, and Asia recorded ultra-low vibrations with no tectonic origin. Even migratory animals like whales in the Pacific, birds in Europe, and insects deep in the earth altered their navigation routes, as if their internal compasses had been scrambled. These signals weren't random, and their timing coincided perfectly with the convoy's movements. Some researchers began to speculate that Earth itself was being activated, its magnetic skeleton resonating with something hidden within these objects. If this was coincidence, it would be the most perfectly aligned in human history. If not, then the 9 escort ships weren't just traveling, they were tuning the solar system. Then came the most chilling discovery. Radio astronomers intercepted an energy burst directed from one of the escort ships, not toward Earth, but toward the moon. Its trajectory was precise, hitting a region long known for its mascons, dense gravitational anomalies beneath the lunar crust. These mascons have puzzled scientists for decades, suggesting structures or mass concentrations that conventional geology can't fully explain. Now, for the first time, they were being targeted. The signal was layered, structured in amplitude and polarization, not in language, but in code. And if the moon isn't just a silent satellite, but a node in a much older system, dormant until activated, could these 9 companions be awakening something hidden on its surface, something planted there long before humanity took its first steps? If the companions are probes, then perhaps the moon was never ours. Despite the mounting evidence, the silence from global institutions only deepened. NASA refused to release Webb's raw spectra. ESA ignored all questions, and China maintained an enigmatic silence, though leaked reports spoke of emergency launches being quietly prepared. The White House issued a single sentence: "We are aware and monitoring the situation," and nothing more. For ordinary people, the only reliable source of information came from amateur astronomers who posted their images online, piecing together patterns that governments refused to acknowledge. But the silence itself became the most eloquent message. Because when 9 energized objects suddenly appear around an interstellar visitor and the world's most powerful agencies respond with censorship and secrecy, that's not a sign of calm. It's confirmation that what they know can't be said out loud. Finally, orbital mechanics revealed a detail too precise to ignore. Both the Atlas satellite and its 9 escort satellites, along with the giant Swan R2, were scheduled to align within a narrow solar corridor in mid-October. Their perihelions would overlap within days, with distances to the Sun separated by less than 50 million kilometers. For random bodies, such synchronization is impossible. For design telescopes, it all comes down to planning. For many astronomers, this meant only one thing: a rendezvous. Whether for refueling, data exchange, or something more obscure, the timing was perfect. And the window of darkness, when the sun blinds our telescopes, ensured that the most critical moments remained invisible. It was as if the sky itself conspired to keep us in the dark, or worse, as if the moment had been chosen precisely to hide the truth. For centuries, humanity has gazed at the night sky and imagined myths, dragons, banners of fire, omens of change. But what the James Webb Space Telescope, the Very Large Telescope, and the eyes of ordinary people with amateur instruments have now revealed is not myth, but reality. Three-eyed Atlas is no longer an isolated mystery. It is flanked and escorted by 9 smaller companions that radiate unimaginable power, maneuver with precision, and emerge not by chance, but through deployment. In the blink of an eye, the solar system went from hosting a single interstellar object to 10. And this revelation changes everything, because if they are probes, if they are machines, then they're not here to wander aimlessly. They're here to act. Their synchronized movements, their pulses directed at the moon, their strange resonance with Earth's magnetic field, all point to a mission unfolding before our eyes. Add to that the convergence of Swan R2, 100 times larger, slated to arrive in the same corridor at the same time. And the silence from our institutions begins to look less like caution and more like containment. They know something extraordinary is happening. They know it's no coincidence. and they're choosing silence over disclosure. We wanted answers, but what do we have instead? Questions that go far beyond anything science has prepared us for. Are we watching a convoy arriving for a rendezvous? A fleet executing a schedule written long before our existence? Are these escorts guardians, scouts, or harvesters? Does the moon itself belong to a system we've never understood? The terrifying truth may be that these questions won't be answered by us, but by them, on their own terms and in their own time. The greatest fear isn't that we've discovered something alien. The greatest fear is that this convoy has always been on its way, that its cycles have passed before, and that humanity is only now advanced enough to notice. And if we've never been the observers, but the observed, if our telescopes didn't reveal the secret of Three-Eyed Atlas, but instead triggered the next phase of its mission, this isn't science fiction. It's happening now, overhead, in real time. 10 synchronized, powerful, and deliberate objects are charting their way through our solar system. And as they approach, one unsettling possibility remains. Perhaps they're not just passing through. Perhaps they're here to meet us. I'd love to hear what you think about this, so drop a comment below. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please share this video and subscribe to help the channel grow. Every bit of support counts.